Good morning. I have the next 40 minutes to try to discuss with you a very important subject. That is, why do we work? Maybe you might ask, why did you look for a job in assuming you are old, in ESO? I joined oil industry. I joined Shell in the late 1970s, and our big competitors were ESO and Mobil. Now, which is part of your history. Am I right that far? Yes. So at least I still remember I was a business analyst in that when I joined the company. So we always in industry trying to request for price changes by the government because we were price controlled then. There was Mobil and there was ESO. Then after some time, Mobil just did a disappearing act and they just removed the word removed the M and put a K. What did it become? Mobil. So we assume Mobil had gone. But after a few years, Exxon Mobil was formed, and the name they opted for was Mobil. So Mobil reappeared, isn't it? But it seems to be an expert in disappearing acts. So a few years later, it again disappeared and became Oilabia. And I'm very grateful for opportunity with that kind of history, to discuss with you why work. Why work? And if you answer that question, then most likely you will be a good worker who enjoys work. You know, there are three types of workers we have wherever we are. Three types of workers, and you have to determine which one you are. Number one, we have workers whose only reason to be here is to get money. In fact, they can work anywhere as long as the money is available. And it's for HR, they have a real hard time motivating them because the only language they know is pesa and more money. Now, they are here in this meeting today, but I'm not asking you to put up your hands. But there are people who are here for that particular purpose. Number two, there are people who work, and the only reason they work is to look for company. They come, they enjoy to be Oilabia, they enjoy the fact that they have company, and they look for friendship. In fact, don't be surprised, in that kind of situation, most of them end up marrying in the same company. Now, because for them, they came to look for friends. So that although they are in the organization and you just see them as workers, one of the things they are looking for is to have friends. And there are people here who the only reason they stay in Oilabia is because they feel they are appreciated, there is friendship in this place. So for them, they still want the money increase. But even if you double it, they'll still leave if you're not friendly. So you have to find a way of ensuring they remain with friends. And they are still seated here. And they are also important, we must appreciate them. But there's a third category of people. They are in this company to make a name. For them, salary increase doesn't motivate them. Friendship can come and go, but they want to make a name. So if you give them a job in Mombasa and tell them they are in tank farm, they will work in the tank farm such that for 20 years to come, they will still be talking about the guy who was in the Oilabia depot in Mombasa. That's what moves them. To do something that will make others notice them. Of course, there is a danger with each category. Let's start with the one for money. If the reason you are here is just to make money, you have several problems. One of them is the fact that when you're in that category, you are always comparing your salary with other people. Every time you meet a Vivo Pass, is it called Vivo now? My old workplace. When you meet Vivo guy, you ask, how much do you want? You don't even bother to ask him what is your job. Now, and obviously, you know, salaries don't compare, depends on the job you do, isn't it? So you come back and say, we have to cut the peso, we don't get money. I talked with a Vivo guy and he's handing down my salary. Now, what you did discover is he is actually the boss of your boss. That's the same level. But because you happen to be in a restaurant together, all you ask him, because for you, what drives you is money. And You may have been very happy before the meeting, before that restaurant visit. As soon as you learn the guy earns more than you, from that moment you can't talk to your wife. Okay, or girlfriend. You can't talk to your husband. What's the problem? They earn more than me. Now, surely, you did not even bother to find out details, but now you can't sleep at night. You are looking for another job. And all that happened is somebody earns more than you. Second problem with that category is because all that drives them is money, anybody can play with them. A transporter comes who wants to play games inside the depot. And initially says, no, I'm a professional. And he says, can you have a cup of tea at Mwembetayari? Is there a restaurant there? And you go. He tells you, no, I have looked at you, and you don't seem to be well looked after. I don't know why Olivia doesn't pay you well. But I really appreciate what you do. I really should think, if you're earning 50,000, would you mind another 10,000 on top of your salary? Yes, why? I mean, surely, don't you need to buy something else? Don't you have a wife? Surely, we're asking you what you can do with 10,000. What kind of a man are you? He says, okay, bring it. You haven't found out why he is paying you. You haven't found out why, of all people, you are selected. And because you are driven by money, you accept the money. And you know, in Kenya, nobody ever bribes. You only give gifts. Am I right? Have you ever heard anybody bribing another? They only give. And even when they give key to. No. They never give key to kikubwa. So basically, they are looking after you. From then onwards, the guy becomes a prisoner. Because when he wants his roller to be roaded, and you are the one in charge, how you do it, he doesn't care. He reminds you, do you remember Mwembetayari? Oh yeah, you really bought me. I'm going to. No, don't worry, sir. I'm handling your case. Are you not a prisoner? Because you are driven by money. The third problem with this guy is that since he is always feeling underpaid, all the time he feels underpaid because of that comparison, it's very easy, not requiring somebody from outside, but he himself to start selling products. Because he wonders, so you stay with him, but he is always looking for a way of earning an extra money, including from where he is working. Because what drives him is money. And there is no salary, let me tell you in advance, there is no salary that is ever enough. Before I joined Shell, I used to work for a development bank. And in our days in the 70s, when you left university, you earned about 2,000 shillings. So when they give you 2,500 in the 70s, it was an impossibly high salary. Actually, the graduate salary was 1990. 1,990 official salary. So when they gave you 2,500 in the bank, you felt very highly paid. I can tell you when I joined Shell, because I didn't apply, they poached me from the bank. Poaching, that is not done of animals, even human beings are so a guy called me and said, can we have a discussion? So I went to Shell, but I was so happy working in the bank I didn't want to come. So in order to stop them disturbing me, I told them I can only come if they double my salary. I took my figure, multiplied by 2, and said, this is what I want. I still remember that discussion in the late 70s with the HR. Those days were not called HR managers, they were called personnel managers. And I was talking to him, I said, and he was telling me about what Shell offers, medical. In your 20s, does medical come matter? Now, so the guy is talking to me about medical. I said, sir, did you hear what I want? Just told me, young man. I'm still a young man, but I was younger then. Young man, I can handle that. So I went away, and when the letter came, he literally gave me exactly what I wanted. You know, you think money is more, but within no time, your expenditure rises to the same level. Let me give you an example. I'm still talking about this bad category of a guy who wants money. You know, I used to stay in Boroboro. Those of you from Nairobi know Boroboro, isn't it? Now, I still used to stay in Boroboro, and I used to pay 1 shilling and 50 cents to town. That was the KBS. KBS was very efficient those days in the 70s. 150 and 150 back. Now that I have joined Shell, what happens? They gave me a car. But it's not a gift, it's a loan. So my salary disappears in paying back the loan. The extra money they had, given me. Then my transport every day was not 3 shillings. Petrol then was 7 shillings and 50 cents per litre. When I started driving cars, it was about 7 shillings and 50 cents. But when I calculated from Buruburu and back, it was costing me something like 20 shillings. So my transport account had risen from 3 shillings to how many? 20. Every day. But the salary was doubled. Are you getting the point? Yeah. But my transport has not been doubled. What is 3 against 20? How many times? 6 times. So I discovered, I come from Nyandarua, that every time I was going to visit my mother, I was now poorer than when I was earning it. You see, to my mother, what matters is what I go home with, isn't it? The fact that I'm driving and I'm arriving in a car doesn't matter. Now you need to understand clearly that I discovered, and within no time, you see, doubling a 2,000 shillings, 2,500 is 5,000, isn't it? Within no time I was earning 20,000. And I was still equally poor. Within no time I was earning 200,000. I was still poor. So I discovered this guy who is only after money has condemned himself to personal frustration, pensionable. Are you getting permanent and pensionable? There will be no time he'll be satisfied. So you need to understand that category of people. And I'm not suggesting that HR will be listening to me and refuse to earn salary. But you need to understand, even if what you're after is contentment. I've written a book called The Secret Contentment. And the book I wrote because of that experience in Shell. Because I could not imagine my own university classmates, one in double me. You know, as long as I worked in the bank, I was not aware they earned more. Until when the personnel manager agreed to pay me, I said, what? We were classmates. This was the kind of money they earned. I expect them to be so happy. To my surprise, as soon as I joined Shell, there is complaint from every direction. And I couldn't wait a minute. Do you know you are earning double the other people? No, they are underpaying us. Because they are not comparing themselves with those, they are comparing themselves with themselves. Okay, that point? So I discovered that if you are that first category of people whose motivation is money, rest assured, all those things I'm talking about, I need to, since I don't have a lot of time, let me not spend a lot of time on it. All of those things are likely to end up to be true of your life. Stealing, selling things, do not think it is too far away from you. Once you feel frustrated and your only sense of satisfaction is money, you will be surprised. And you just need to look at the history of Esso, Mobil, or Libya. In the last, Teresa, I've been in our industry for around 36 years. 36 years actually. And I can tell you for sure, there are many people who have lost jobs. Some of them my friends. In Libya, Esso, and Mobil. All because they wanted a lot of money. And I'm not asking you not to want money. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying if you are that category, please understand your wages. Because everything you plant has a result, isn't it? The second person we talk about now, but what is positive? I'm talking about the negative part of this guy who is driven by money. What's the positive being? The positive being of the guy driven by money is that you can motivate him with the money in the short term. Very easy to motivate. Just tell the guy, by the way, I want you to go to Nairobi. If you perform well this year, I'm promoting you to Nairobi and your salary will go up by that percent. That year he will work like a donkey. Not probably by anybody, but simply so that he can go to there. So they are very easy to manipulate. Anybody, so if you are a kind of guy who likes manipulating people, anybody in that category will be easily manipulated. You can always promise him. You know, it's like a dog, you put a carrot. Do dogs eat carrots? No, a cow then. It's like you put a carrot and the guy jumps on it. It's very easy to motivate those guys. But let me come to the second category of people whose major interest is friendship, society. What is positive about them? The positive thing about them is that they are team players. They do not want to embarrass their team. So they'll do their best in order to please their team. So in terms of HR and employ people, when you get these guys who are interested in working with the people, in being with the people, you have a team player. Somebody who can fit in with that, who can fit with others. And because for him, friendship is more important than money, he will do anything to ensure he does not embarrass his team. Number two, which is so it's easier for HR to promote. The next thing is, he is unlikely to have customers. Because this is not just the members of the team. Will you put him in marketing? Rest assured, even when your prices are higher, your customers will stay. They just remember this guy. Because he never hurt anybody. He cannot hurt a fly, they say. Because he is interested in people. And so, you can put him in people areas. And which area does not have people? Is there any job we can do without people? No. So it means those type of people are very helpful in working whichever area you go. But especially where working interpersonal relations are key. But let's look at the negative side of this guy. This guy has a few negative things. Why? If you make him a supervisor, he does not want anybody to be hurt. So he has either the opportunity of hurting the job or hurting the people. Who is he going to hurt? The job. So if you have a company full of people, you understand what I mean by people, you have a company whose productivity can never go up because they do not like to insist on performance. If it's going to happen, so you tell him, please organize here, but when they're sick, now please go home. Now you see what I understand? Within no time, everybody's wife is sick, all of them go, so he left working alone. I guess the point because he doesn't want to hurt anyone. So if you are full of a company like that, where the only thing that matters is friendship, you have a company that will suffer from productivity issues. Number two, if you have somebody like that, you have a company that is likely to suffer death. Why? He can see during the interview, this is likely to be a professional deal. But then the person also has a wife. For the sake of the wife, let him work. You need no time. You have all kinds of categories. Bob Collins says, it's always important to check who enters the bus. One of the most important contributions to productivity is who enters the bus. A bus full of such people will suffer. And you need to understand that if you make such a person HR, all you require in the interview is to look in pain. There's no way they can say no to somebody in pain. All you need to impress them is as soon as you arrive, start smiling. And say like, Madam, have I seen you somewhere? Now all they need is to know you like you know them, like your friendship from an earlier life. And we must, no, we must employ this person. Who else can be as good as him? But what is good is not the competence. It is the fact that they'll be friends. Because even a new staff is looking for friends. Are we together? So you have a lot of challenges when somebody are benefiting it, but you have a lot of challenges when you are dealing with somebody like that who is. So we have talked about the guy who is driven by money. We have talked about the guy who is driven by relationship. We now got the guy who is driven by, have you forgotten what he said? Driven by recognition. No, basically performance and recognition. Now, it's important to understand the benefits of these guys. Companies are made great by guys like that. So these are guys whose motivation is to always do a good job so that everybody can appreciate. They are not just human, they are superhuman. So when you have people in that category, the company, number one, is likely to always perform well. You put them in the country, the speed of vehicles moving around the country will be much faster than earlier. Somehow he's able to undo the whole thing, and where they used to load 20 trucks in the morning, they now load 40. And everybody's wondering, what happened in Olivia, Mombasa? Nothing happened. You just put a guy who is a donkey in a man. He certainly can perform very well, and he's driven. Same salary as everybody, but he does it. And that's a good thing for the company, isn't it? The second thing that is good about these people is that they don't require supervision. He is not bothered about you, he is bothered about the job. Now, but my time is going. Let me look at the negative side. You know, these are the type of guys who are going to step on you as they go up. They don't care what you suffer, they care about the task. Remember the other one cared about the person. This one don't care about you. You tell them, but you know, you're stepping on me. Now, wait a minute, let me finish. And he's still stepping on you. Because for him, the important thing is he does what he is doing. And they can be difficult. No, remember, these are the ones that were told, remember me on your way up. You might meet me on your way down. Because they basically, and I'm sure as I talk like this, there are people you know about. Am I right? Who simply don't care about the money. One of my CEOs in Shell told me how he started work. He left university in 1965, so he joined in 1966. So found in Molide a boss by the time I came 10 years later. And he was telling me how he was hurt because by the time he entered, all senior positions in the oil industry were always run by Zungus. So he was put as a sales rep in Kericho. And then he had left his wife in Nairobi, who was a teacher. Then he was going to get a baby. So he told the boss, please, let's not have that visit. This time, my wife is getting a baby. He was like, wait a minute. When I employed you, did I ever tell you I needed a wife? On what basis would you be informing me whether your wife is giving birth or not giving birth? The meeting goes on. When we say, I do not want to hear the stories, he never forgot that story, even by the time he actually retired. And there are people like that. Because all they care is about us. And wherever they pass, they get performance in the short term and destruction in the long term. By the time they have stopped being the boss, everybody has resigned. They have a new group. Okay, this is the point? So you need to understand that as we talk about these people motivated by only the job, without the balance, it's important to ask yourself what will be the consequence. On the positive is clear, but long term, you are going to see a lot of people destroyed. Thirdly, these same people finally are likely candidates for committing suicide, which is a very serious matter. Because he did all his best to become the CEO of Olympia. When he reaches there and he doesn't become CEO or even OOC, it doesn't become anything, he simply feels let down. By who? It's not clear who let him down. So he hangs himself. Because life is totally meaningless. Because you see, you expected that if I did this will happen. And you thought algebra applies in life. B plus A equals. Now, are you getting the point? When you discover life doesn't work like that, you start understanding. Because you see, when people are promoting, they look at your performance, but remember, they are not just looking at your performance, they are looking at your ability to coordinate. Because the higher you go, the less specific work you do. Am I right? So it means that what you require to be a boss is not your ability to do the job, it's your ability to work with people. Am I communicating? So you start wondering, hey, look, I do all the work. Look at the people that promote. There's tribalism here. Tribalism in your heart, not in the job. Because the truth of the matter is, if somebody promoted you, he will destroy the company. He would not even give you bonus and even special job groups rather than promote you. Because for sure, at the current level, you are performing. But higher, you destroy the company. Are you getting this guy? Who is driven simply by that. Now, I realize my time is up. But I wanted to just share with you that if you truly want to be somebody, three things. Number one, who will have high output, high productivity. Number two, who will enjoy their job. Number three, because enjoy is also important in what you do. So you have a higher output, you are enjoying the job, and then finally you feel fulfilled. Three things. It is important that your motivation comes out of understanding your life's mission. The book that our MC was having, I wrote that book for young people to tell them that if you do not manage yourself, there are no chances you have the ability to manage others. And I said the first requirement for self-management is having a life's personal vision and mission. I know Olebia has a vision and mission. Am I right? You as a person need to determine, now that I was created, what to be absent on earth if I was never born. There is something in my understanding of the Bible, and I have 3 Qurans in my house, so I know I also look at the Quran. But there is something that is clear with all religions. They all talk about us being created by God. And God is not in the business of making trash. So you're not trash. Every one of us is important. And there is something only you can do. Nobody else can do it. Now the trouble is, many of us do not ever bother to find out what God has taught us. In fact, what we do is what our uncle says. Every time I speak in medical school, quite a number of times, I give talks like the MC was saying. And every time I look at that class in medical school, and look at them, I look at them and sympathize. In Kenya, the worst thing you can ever do is to get a name. If you get a name without a minus, just a name, what happened to all your uncles? They say you must do medicine. Am I right? Even if you are not interested, you can't wait a day. Now, if the boy says, I'm going to do history, wait a minute, are you mad? A can only do medicine. So a lot of the people, are you getting the troubles we are getting in hospitals? Because many of the people there did not go there because that's their calling. They went there because that is their family's calling. Okay, the point. So it's important to find out not what your uncle says, but what do you hear God saying He created you for? The minute you understand what you are created for, then number one, you are likely to end up productive in that thing. Because somehow you end up understanding there is a higher calling beyond your supervisor. There is something in you that tells you I have something to achieve. So it's important to know it as God's calling. What I'm doing is not what Mobi or Olivia tells me to do. I sense that God has called me to do it. Number two, when you do what is within your calling, you are likely to be gifted in it. And because you are gifted in it, you tend to perform better. Are we together? If you are a doctor, but you are calling it to be an engineer, then you are likely to treat people like machines. Am I right? Right? What's wrong with you? Now, you are a human being is in front of you, but what you are looking for is machine. Am I communicating? So you are likely, if you open a clinic, nobody is likely to turn up after some time. Not because you don't have, you are a specialist. You have got a PhD in your area. But then you treat people, nobody ever turns up again. It is important to understand that you need a personalized mission. Not what you are going to do for 2 years. What do you do for life? If what you are looking for is, a lot of people are looking for careers. In fact, I've now seen a lot of children in primary school. I'm going to be an engineer. That is not a life's calling. That is only a career. And careers last until you are 60. Am I right? Now, if you are at Giorgio and you are going to be, Giorgio is 95. So at 60, you still have another 35 years. So what do you do? And all employers have said you are too old. Now, you need to understand life's calling is not similar to your job. Life's calling is what you do until you die. So even after you stop being in the job, you will still be doing it. You need to find out what it is. Once you have found it, then go and find out what, and HR may not like me for this, what is the company's or Levia's calling and mission. You must understand it. Why does it exist? Then number 3, do the two correlate? If you are in a place whose mission is contradicting your mission, the 3 things will be negated. Your productivity will go down, you will not enjoy what you are doing, and you will not have a sense of long-term fulfillment. Am I right? So you are not a machine to be paid. Don't go to a place because you are earning more money. Go to a place because you are able to align the company's mission and your own mission. When you do that, you can be in a place with less money, but you are fulfilled. I would like to recommend you look at my book, The Secret of Contentment. Like I said, I wrote it for shares because I was so surprised that people earning double the salary of others are not happy, that I introduced a column in the company magazine. We used to call it the Alioko. I pleaded with the editor several times. He would say, no, I don't want you to give me articles. One day he ran out of articles. He said, Nana, why are those articles? When I wrote the first secret of contentment, people wanted to know the other secrets. So for the next 8 years, from 91 to 98, I had a column writing about the secret of contentment to my workmates. Then after some time, people say, by the time it is 8 years, people want to know step 1, and they can't find it. So the editor asked me, why can't you make it a book? So all the steps are in one book. That's why I wrote the book. And my message in the book is simply this. You'll never enjoy life until you do what you are created to do. That's what will get you to be enjoyable. I have to be finishing. But it's also important to check your department. Don't just go to a department because you like the boss. It's important to find out, is the department, not just the company, the department doing what is done. So I don't have enough time to deal with this subject. But I would like to suggest to you to pick in one of my books and find out. There's a book I call about professionals, and I share my experience in Shell, and I have a chapter how to discover your life's purpose. It's important to discover it. The younger you are, the better. But even if you are 60, there may be another 35 years, isn't it? So it's important to find out, am I doing what I was created to do? Because if you do what you are created to do, I can assure you, you will live a productive life and a very enjoyable life. Let me go towards finishing by saying this, that for you to live a fulfilled life and productive life, it will be important that your motivation is internal rather than external. Unfortunately, a lot of us, our motivation is external. Why didn't you pass the exam, my mother? Now, because you expected your mother to help you to pass. So there's something she did that made you fail. Because for you, you believe, and you know there are people like that. They work hard in school when their mother is happy. When their mother doesn't buy them a bicycle, the following term they do badly to hurt the mother. No, they are not aware it's their life. They think it's their mother's life. Unfortunately, you think it ends up with the children. You find a wife who is fed up with the husband. She is even going to want to be fired in her job. Now, there's nothing wrong Olivia has done. She has simply having a quarrel at home. Then she can't perform badly, so that she is fired, so the husband can be hurt. Now, surely, one thing may be certain, you will also be hurt. Am I right? It's important to understand clearly that external motivation is not something. And I've said a few things. We need to emphasize the dangers of external motivation. Let me go through a number as I finish. External motivation runs out for 3 reasons. Number 1, the outsider to continue encouraging you means he must be happy with you. So if you are relying on an external motivation, then you are relying on somebody who must continue liking you. So, the day they don't like you, will they continue motivating you? No. As soon as he thinks he does not like what you are doing, will he encourage you again? No. So if you rely on outside motivation, be ready to soon lose it, or even be on a roller coaster. What's a roller coaster? Up and down. You know, there are people who feel motivated whenever the boss comes, the recommendation that we are talking about. And the boss says, what a good job. They work like a donkey. The next time the boss comes, he doesn't mention anything. He goes to the next section. Oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. For the next 1 week, he doesn't do anything. That is external motivation. And there are stuff like that who are up and down. You don't know where they are. If we were discussing promotions, you say, Nganga is good, but he is unpredictable. Are we together? Because he's relying on external motivation. And external motivation depends on the motivator. And as long as the motivator is motivating you, you'll be motivated. Please, do not hope to become a productive person. If you're that type who waits to be told, well done, you yourself do not have a method of assessing whether you're doing well. And when you're told well done, even when you know you're not doing well, you believe a story. Now, you know the truth, you're not performing well. So even if you have caused mistakes and think you're doing well, don't believe it. Go and work hard. So it's important. So the first reason I'm saying Please do not look for. That's why my discussion this far is talking about the importance of having an internal system that motivates you to do what you are doing. Number two, and it's modern, man is a foreign creature and nobody wants to be outdone. What am I actually saying? If the motivator is your supervisor, then you are performing so well, the whole company is talking about you. He realizes his job is at stake. Am I right? He realizes his job is at stake. Initially he was motivating you until he had everyone says, wow, in Mombasa, are you not happy to have Kongango? Kongango is such an important asset. I hope you nurture Kongango. Next time the CEO sees him, oh my. Is it Kongango or you say, wait a minute. My job is at stake. Next time you're in head office, you will say, oh yeah, Kongango is performing very well, but. And the part is the important message. See, what's happening? I also don't know what is happening, but it sounds like he's having some personal issues that are affecting his work. And all coming from, he is feeling his job is at stake. So my friend, if you are relying on external motivation, you will soon be forgotten. Am I right? You need something that makes you work hard. Whether you get a promotion, you still work hard. You don't get a promotion, you still get hard. You get more money, you still work. Because what you enjoy is fulfilling your life's calling. And you do it. And if Mobil doesn't pay you, you can resign and do it. But as long as you're in oil area, you are certainly going to do your very best. Not for their sake, for the sake of yourself. You like to sleep in the evening, happy, enjoying. Why? I did a good job. Why? It helps me fulfill my purpose. Are we together? And it's important to ask yourself, are you there? Do you have internal reason for doing what you are doing? Or are you relying on somebody who may feel it's dangerous? You might take over his job. And that is true. Sometimes it's even your own father. You are working very well, but then he realizes that sometimes the way you are performing, you'll not be able to say how great he was. Because the son is becoming greater. Next time there's a family meeting, he is going to say, my son, you are doing well. But, and the whole issue is on that, but. So it's important to understand, if you are relying on external motivation, it may be temporary. Only internal motivation can last. And thirdly, external motivation comes from other man. The current CEO may like you, but he may not be here forever. Am I right? The current terminal manager is here, but by the way, he is never consulted where he's being moved. Am I right? So you find him there, you like him, you enjoy it. Then the guy is sent to Libya to be a depot manager. You can't stop it, can you? No. So do not work to please a guy. Work to please yourself and God. So that even if somebody hates you, you assess yourself, you can do, you did well, they promoted Kamau instead of Otieno, but Otieno still continues to work. Because he does not work to please anybody. He works to please himself and God. Are we together? Yes. You want to know you did your very best. It motivates you. Unfortunately, my time is up, and I want us to have enough time for discussion. And there are things I have said that may provoke you wrongly. I wanted to look at the various worldviews on work by various people. And I don't think I have the time to look at it. But if you want the notes, you can ask Winnie to give you the notes. I finish with this. A guy in Europe, the biggest constructions are always churches. Why? Because the Pope was the King of Kings in the Middle Ages. All kings in Europe reported to the Pope. So anytime, if you want to see the very best construction, it's always the church in Europe. And I still remember going to Shore, Finland. And when, on the weekend when they want to drive me, they drove me about 50 kilometers just to see a church. Because it's an architectural marvel. It was built around 1450. And I was asking, how did that stone reach? It's so high up, you can't imagine 500 years ago how they were traveling there. Now let me now take a step back. There's this tourist, those years, who is coming to visit this famous cathedral that is under construction. So he asked the first bricklayer. You know, in Kenya we call them what? What do we call bricklayers in Kenya? masons. Am I right? Yeah, so he is coming to see this construction. And he is of a famous cathedral. He says, what are you doing? The guy says, I am laying the bricks. In fact, he's annoyed. Can't you see? I'm laying the bricks. This guy, for him to tell you that, it tells you there is a certain personality and his attitude to work. He sees his job as putting one stone on top of another. Is he likely to be very, very, very motivated to come to work? When his job is only to put one stone on top of another. But there are people like that at work. What is your job? To put petrol in the gantry into the tankers. All he knows is one vehicle, another vehicle, another vehicle. Now, it's boring. After you've done it for 5 years, you can even close your eyes to do it. Then you have an accident. Now, it's very important to understand that category. The guy wondered why. And you know he was telling the truth. Because his work is laying bricks. But it showed a guy was not motivated. He went to another section. You know, cathedrals are big. He went to another place and he found another guy doing exactly the same. He asked him the same question. What are you doing? The guy stopped, straightened up, looked at the guy and said, I am building a cathedral. He did not see himself as laying bricks, which he was doing. He was looking forward to a completed cathedral. So famous, he will be able to tell his grandchildren, man, my grandfather, I was the one who made the cathedral the way it is. So he was really proud, even on the foundation, because he's looking at the completed cathedral. Between the two guys, who is more motivated each day? Now I ask you in Olivia, are you in the first category or the second category? Do you see how what you do contributes to the end product? Or do you see, for example, do you see yourself as putting petrol into a vehicle in the country? Or do you see yourself as saving lives in hospitals? Because that tanker is driving to a hospital. And without your fuel, there will be no boiler working. The theaters will not work. People are going to die. Are you getting the point? If you are able to move away from filling vehicles to saving lives in theater, can you see the motivation? Yes. And you know, I used to talk about it academically, but I retired just in 08. My last job as operations manager for Shell, the big job was handling the 0708 what is it called? PEP, post-election violence, isn't it? And you know, all depots have to close because of a banning vehicles, isn't it? And I was called by the CEO and told Nana, we can't keep the depots closed. I said, but how can you open it? He said, nothing to do with money. I have been told that they are closing theaters without fuel because all depots closed. And I sat, we couldn't move. Remember, you could not go to town. I sat in my bedroom wondering exactly what we do. Now, when I realized I'm being associated as a operation manager of Shell, then the biggest oil company in Kenya, I'm being associated with people dying in Eldoret, dying in Nairobi, people are being shot in Kibera, they are brought to hospital, nobody can save them. I said, must do something. Now, not because I want a salary increase, after all I was retiring. Not because I wanted anything, just to deal with the crisis. I took the telephone, I called the Nairobi terminal manager, then he was called Peter, and we have just taken over the depot from the joint depot. Those who are older who remember Nairobi was a joint depot, isn't it? So Mobile already had gone back to the old depot and they had gone. So the new guy whom we actually recruited from already anyway. I asked him, I called him, and he was living on Thika Road. I told him, you know, I know nobody is working. I cannot ask you to do this because it might cost you a life. But can you imagine people dying in hospitals? People must do something. Say, but how will I go to the depot? I can't go. Says, let's try. You follow Mombasa Road, Thika Road, and go to around Museum Hill and follow Uhuru Highway. There are enough military people. And go all the way to GM Motors. That's what he did. And we were on the phone. Unfortunately, mobiles had come. We were on the phone. So I kept touch until finally he said, I'm not in the depot. Second problem. The terminal manager doesn't know how to open valves. Are you getting the point? That's not his job. The next thing was to try to look for people. And I told him, call people, but tell them not to come if they are risking their lives. But if they think they can make it, let's make it. My job was to call a transporter. who was saved, and it has nothing to do with the money. You can't say the vehicle may be banned. It's all to do with our job is not to make money. Our job is to save Christ. And Transporter agreed. Our worker agreed. And finally, we started roading vehicles. Shell was the first company to road vehicles. And our tankers were the first one to arrive in Kampala. Now, as I retired, did I retire half a man? You see, it has nothing to do with that. You need to see your job, not as bricklaying, but building the cathedral. Ask yourself exactly what you are. And if you think what you are doing mobile does not build cathedral, please recite the scripture as text. You must do a job where you feel there is meaning at the end of it. It's not just connecting pipes. What is the end of it? Finally, he went to a third place. And he found a guy who was also playing bricks. And he asked him, what are you doing? The guy flickered. He started smiling. You know what he answered? He didn't say I'm playing bricks. He didn't say I'm building a cathedral. He said, I'm depopulating hell to fill heaven. He saw himself with a completed cathedral, a bishop preaching, drunkards getting saved. And he saw himself as an evangelist. Although he was actually laying bricks. He saw himself in ministry. You know, those who are Christians understand ministry. He was not in laying bread, he was serving the Lord. I think the point. And you know, it's true. Without the cathedral, was the bishop have a place to preach? So between the three guys, number 1, number 2, and number 3, who do you think was most motivated? Question. Which of them are you? Thank you very much.